Clay County Sheriff's deputies are addressing the media right now about an attempted murder-suicide at a business in Orange Park. We want to take you there live, listening to Under Sheriff Craig Aldridge.
Is he able to or willing to speak with us? Or?
I do not know. I'm sure that he is still being interviewed, and I'm not sure if they've completed that process or not.
So we've got about 4 minutes.
What we can tell you is that right around 12:40 today at a business called Jacksonville Granite, which is off North Industrial Loop Drive in Orange Park, an employee of that business, according to sheriff's deputies, opened fire, shot another employee inside of the business, and then went into another room inside of the business and turned the gun on himself. Meanwhile, the man who was shot, the victim in this case, ran away, left the scene suffering from a gunshot wound, and was found and taken to the hospital. We're told that he does have injuries but is likely to survive. We have several crews on this story. We did, within the past hour, speak with a witness who spoke with Channel 4's Heather Lee, who had the gun actually put in his face, but the man did not fire at him, but instead fired at another employee at Jacksonville Granite. We now toss it to Scott Johnson, who's joining us live from the area where the victim was found. Scott, the victim was found in that area that you are now?
Yeah, this is an adjacent neighborhood, Tarek. I was told he climbed in the fence adjacent to the business of this backyard here. He hopped the fence, and then the homeowner here helped him across the property. He had collapsed over there. The homeowner told me he appeared like he was just trying to escape something. He could tell he had been shot. He collapsed, and that's where he went down. They called 911. Help arrived. The ambulance came. He was still conscious on the stretcher, which is a good sign. So he appears to be okay. I also spoke with a man who was shot who says that it's his sister. She tells me his name is 26-year-old Dean Haggins from Jacksonville, lifelong Jacksonville resident, had just started this job recently in Orange Park, so she didn't know a lot about it. She's from out of the area and was just stunned by all this news, but she's grateful he survived. He's at Orange Park Medical Center, I'm told, with his parents right now here in Orange Park. Should be okay. That's what the homeowner who was here and tried to help him told me, that he was conscious, he was bleeding. It appeared in his back, so they could tell he had definitely been shot, and he just looked terrified is what the homeowner told me. He was hopping the fence and just trying to get out of here. I asked the sister in my phone conversation, did your brother know this man? She says she does not believe he knew that they knew each other. She tells me that the man came into the business threatening to shoot him in the stomach. Don't really know why at this point, and he ran off, did get shot, but appears like he will be okay. Once again at Orange Park Medical Center with his parents. The name she gave me, 26-year-old Dean Haggins, 26-year-old Dean Haggins. For now, we're live in Orange Park, and Tarek, we're going to send it back to you.
Scott, just for perspective purposes, how far is that business from where you're standing right now? How far did he have to run?
I'm struggling, and I'm guessing for you, Tarek. I can't say for sure because I haven't had a chance to go over to the business yet, but I can see over the back fence there. You see that large, what looks like industrial complex? Yes. I don't know because I haven't been over there, but I'm guessing that may be part of the business, but that's my suspicion. We'll learn more here in the news conference, which I'm told is about to happen now. So we're going to go to the news conference, Tarek, and hopefully get some more details from the Clay County Sheriff's Office, who's been working this one hard for the last couple hours.
Yes, Scott, thank you for that information. The news conference just getting ready to start. We're expected to hear from Under Sheriff Craig Aldridge with the Clay County Sheriff's Office, waiting for a prompt 2:30 start, and it appears as if he is going to brief us right now.
Sorry, we'd like spelling your name.
Good afternoon. I am Craig Aldridge. I am the Under Sheriff for the Clay County Sheriff's Office. Today I'm going to talk to you about a tragedy that was really averted here in the Orange Park area, in this industrial loop here in Orange Park. Essentially what happened was around 12:04 p.m. We received calls that an individual was shooting inside a business here. It's actually called the Jacksonville Granite. They do granite countertops, what have you. Units responded, and what we ultimately found out was that we had an employee who had left at some point in time this morning, had returned to the business, and returned with a firearm. He went to the backside of the business, found a number of employees back working, at point-blank range, started shooting at them. Thankfully, the gun jammed. He did that on at least 2 occasions, and the firearm jammed. On the third try, the individual was able to fire off several rounds, striking one individual as they were fleeing from that area. The employee then walked back through the center of the business, chasing other individuals who were fleeing from the back to the front. They were able to go to the front of the building and get to their vehicles and run out and run to other buildings that were close by to save their lives. That individual then followed them through that building and was shooting his firearm up in the air. The owner was close by. He was able to shoot at the owner, striking the owner's vehicle. At that point in time, we had units responding. Once our primary units got here, we go into an active shooter protocol. We had a response team enter the building, and at that point in time, we found our suspect barricaded in a closet where actually all of the security equipment is for that business. He was watching our response team and watching our response. Once our reactionary team got in the building, they learned that he had in fact killed himself with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There was in fact one individual who was shot. He was transported to the Orange Park Medical Center. He is doing okay at this point. No one else was hurt, and this is a good reminder that there's three options. This is a predominantly construction or professional building area here. You have three options. You can either flee, hide, or fight. Those are the three options for you. In this particular situation, these individuals were able to get away and protect and save their lives ultimately.
Under Sheriff Wilson, do you guys know the motive yet?
We do not. This individual has just worked at this business for only about a month. So we're still trying to vet that and determine why he was disgruntled. But he did, in fact, was at work, came back this afternoon with a semi-automatic pistol and started shooting at folks.
Was there a specific person who was the target?
We do not have any of that information at this point. It appears to be random in nature because of the number of personnel that were in the back, and he was just randomly shooting at all of them.
Is it common for employees to leave in the middle of the morning? Was anybody concerned when he did that?
Well, it was about the lunch hour, so it didn't raise any suspicions.
Did they notice if he was upset when he left?
He did, in fact, that he appeared to them to be despondent over the last couple days, but no one knew why. So there was something going on in his personal life. We're still trying to get to the bottom of it, but we don't know at this point.
How much can you tell us about the active shooter protocol?
Well, that is something that is very real in today's climate, and we practice it, we train it. As you can see here, we had on-duty and off-duty units respond, and as soon as they got there, they know to go and engage that threat to stop that threat, and that's what you saw here. In this particular situation, the suspect ended his own life, but they were ready to stop that threat immediately.
Do you know how many employees were at risk?
We believe there are 11 employees in this particular business.
Have you spoken to his family, the suspect's family, yet?
His family has been notified.
And any information that they've been able to give you?
That information is all part of the investigation, and we'll be able to provide that to you later, but it's still early on.
What
You were saying
about his personal life? Is he married? Does he have kids?
Does not have any children, and I don't believe he's married.
So we have at least two instances where you said the gun jammed. Can you be a little more detailed? And I guess, did he stay in the same location then for the third time? How much time passed? Were people able to flee?
Essentially, when he confronted the employees who were at the back of the business working, he walked up to them and said, "You better run," and fired a round. And the gun did not discharge. Racked another round into the weapon at another employee, fired. The gun did not fire again. Did it a third time, and then the gun finally worked, and that's when he started shooting at each employee that were still running, fleeing that particular area that they were in.
So
I know he was
people started trying to get away.
Clearly.
I know that he was a fairly new employee, and I know today that nobody necessarily noticed that he was acting strange, but had there been any prior complaints about him?
No, not that we've been able to determine thus far.
What kind of information have you been able to garner from the manager of the business?
As far as
this employee, any, I guess, background checks that they do on employees, things like that, or did anything stand out?
No, I think he has a minor criminal history, nothing major, but he was just hired. I mean, he's only been here less than 30 days, so I would assume that he's been doing pretty good at this point.
Do we know what kind of weapon was used?
It was a semi-automatic pistol. I don't want to release the caliber of it, but it was, in fact, a semi-automatic pistol.
Was it his?
I do not know that at this point.
So he must have lived nearby if he went to lunch and then came back quickly.
He did. He actually was living in a nearby hotel.
So is he new to the Orange Park area? Does he actually live here?
No, I think he's from this community.
What can you tell us of the victim?
The victim, don't know much about him. Thankfully, he's going to be okay, but we'll certainly get you that information as we feed it to the media.
I understand he ran to a nearby home to get help. Tell us about that.
What backs up to this industrial loop is a neighborhood, and as he was running, he was trying to get to a house for protection, and ultimately jumped the fence to a homeowner's property. But that's where he was transported to Orange Park Medical Center.
What hotel was the suspect living in?
I believe it was the Astoria Hotel.
Do you have a fair degree of confidence that he went home or went to the hotel and came back here right away, or were there potentially other stops in there?
That is information that we are currently looking into.
And how many shots was he ultimately able to successfully fire?
Multiple.
And you were saying that this could have been a lot worse.
It's certainly a tragedy averted because at least 2 people that he was at point blank range with could have lost their life. So the good Lord was looking down on them. So they're very fortunate.
Undersheriff, tell us about the response time from your team.
Our response time was about a 5 to 6 minute response time. We had both on-duty and off-duty units responding, so we made it here pretty quickly. We had units from the Orange Park Police Department also responding, so I think we're very fortunate having those units close by to address this situation in a timely manner.
What's the first thing that you're looking at in an active shooter?
Stopping the threat, finding where he's at and stopping him. The information was marginal at best when we were responding. We were unsure whether or not he was still in the building or had made it over to the other neighborhood over here. If there were multiple assailants, you always look at having one bad guy plus one more, so you never know if you're looking for 1 or 2. And that's when, as our searches, we got inside the building and was able to find him in a closet in a security monitoring room.
You understand everything happened really quickly. Can you tell us from beginning to end how long did this entire ordeal last?
I don't have the exact numbers, but I would say probably 10 minutes, thereabouts. But I'll get that information to you.
From speaking with the witnesses, the people involved, how are they doing mentally, physically?
I would imagine that they're very shaken up. You come to work and you think that you're in a safe environment, and lo and behold, somebody shows up with a gun for whatever reason and starts shooting. I'm sure that they're thinking they're lucky stars at the moment.
And how long do you anticipate holding the business for?
Well, there are a lot of folks to interview, a lot of multiple areas to process. The crime scene is pretty large. It expands into that next neighborhood, so I would suspect we'll be here for at least another 2 to 3 hours.
Were there other evacuations of nearby businesses?
Well, some of the things that we normally do is we look at the neighboring schools. We want to make sure that we have officers there to protect those kids. As you can see here, there are multiple businesses. It takes time and resources to get each one of them, make sure they know what's going on so they can go into their lockdown mode, protect their employees, make sure that they know that we're out and about. There's a lot of stuff happening in that 10 to 15-minute window.
Would you say, Undersheriff, that the way that the employees reacted ended up saving their lives?
Clearly, if you can remove yourself from a scenario, that's the best case scenario. Get out, flee, run, get away from that area. If you can't, hide. That's your second best option. Make yourself totally obscure, conceal yourself completely. And if that doesn't work, then the next best option is to fight. Don't surrender, fight. Do your best to reduce that threat until we get here.
I know there's a lot of security cameras around here. Are you going to be using those as part of your investigation?
Yes, we will.
Can you give us a layout of what it looks like in there and where the suspect came through and where people were able to get away from?
It is I would call it a very linear shotgun type building from the back to the front, and that's when it has a chain link fence around it, which is open to the public. He just walked to the back side where they do most of their work. Most of it's done outside, engage those employees, and then walk back through the middle of that building to the front where the little lobby is at. And some point in time decided to return to what he was comfortable with, which was the inside of that building, and got on the security cameras where he could see what was coming at him.
Were there any members of the public in the space at the time?
We do not believe that there were any employees still in the building when he walked back through it. They had all fled the area at that point.
You said there was, one area near the building that is generally open to the public. Anybody but the employees on scene at all?
Yes, that's it. As far as I'm aware at this point, there were no customers.
And it was 11 people, including the suspect who's now deceased?
I believe so, yes.
Any other
question? Oh, one more clarification, because you said there was at least one shot that hit a vehicle as well. So there was shots fired both inside and outside of the building?
That is correct. The shot that hit the vehicle was actually the owner's vehicle. The suspect was firing at the owner.
Do you know if anybody from the business will come out and speak with us at all?
I do not have the answer to that.
But the owner was not hit, correct?
The owner was not struck.
Just the truck.
Just the truck.
Have you released the name yet at this point?
Of the victim?
Of the victim
Yes.
and or the shooter, I'm sorry.
The victim is Dean William Hagins, Hagins, Jr. And the owner is Mr. Mike Rich. Okay, we good? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, you've been listening to Clay County Under Sheriff Craig Aldridge just updating us at what happened at the Jacksonville Granite right around 12:04 today. An employee leaves work, returns with a firearm inside that business. 10 people were inside Jacksonville Granite when this employee starts shooting, opening fire, and we're told by sheriff's deputies there that on the first occasion he pulled the trigger, the gun did not fire. The second time he pulled the trigger, the gun jammed. But the third time, the gun did go off, injuring one employee. And then the suspect began chasing other employees around this business there, and before he went back inside of a building and then turned the gun on himself. We want to get right now to Channel 4's Heather Lee, who joins us now live from the scene. And Heather, you spoke to one of those employees who was in the gunman's presence.
Yeah, his name was Chandler. He was talking with police when we first arrived. He was giving them an account of what had gone on inside that building. He was actually one of those people. I'll step out of the way so that you can see the building down here. He was actually one of the people that the gunman, which is James Cameo, had approached with his gun and had said, you need to run. And of course, at first, the witness had told me that he wasn't sure that he was actually serious. He thought that maybe it was a toy gun, but obviously that was not the case. And you can hear from him right now. This is a shot from that witness.
Yeah, once I saw the look on his face, I realized how serious he was. I turned around and I hauled butt.
How well did you know this guy?
Not too well. He was kind of a quiet guy. He worked here for a couple months. I'd taken lunch with him a few times, talked a little bit, but I didn't know him too well.
I mean, today, did he seem odd? Did he seem strange?
Yeah, he was already kind of a quiet guy, but he'd been acting a little funny lately, but we just thought maybe he had something going on at home or something, but didn't expect this at all, no.
So again, that was the witness who was inside. He said that he had been working on some granite. He was working with some sort of machinery. It was pretty loud. He said when the man came in and started shooting, he had heard the loud noise, but he actually thought that it was a piece of granite that maybe had fallen over. Of course, that was not the case, and he found that out pretty quickly. He was able to make it out and safe. He actually says he ran out through one of the doors, was able to get in touch with a family member who must also work at the business because was at the scene at the time, and they were able to take off. So again, this is a situation where the Clay County Sheriff's Office says there were a lot of lucky people inside there today that, first off acted in the right manner and were able to get away without being harmed. So of course, this is a breaking news situation. We're going to continue to follow this, and we'll have more as soon as we learn more information. And we're going to have more tonight at 5 and 6 on News 4 Jax. Heather Lee, Channel 4, the local station.
All right, thank you so much, Heather Lee. They're reporting to us from Clay County. As you heard, the Undersheriff, Craig Aldridge, stressing the three important factors when it comes to these workplace shootings. The first one, to run. The second one, to hide. And the third one is to fight. In this situation, thankfully, the gun jammed on 2 separate occasions, but on that third time, the gun did go off, but we're told that that victim may make a recovery, actually ran away from the scene, jumped a fence that was behind the business, and is now in the hospital being treated for his wounds. Of course, we're going to continue to update this story both on air and online. We now return you back to regularly scheduled programming.